Legends, and it was a sick card last night. Amazing card, fun event, even down at the Apex, you know? And it was one of those ones where, like, on paper, no one was excited for it. I don't know what is happening with MMA and the UFC in 2025 right now, but things are just good. Now, I know this is MMA YouTube. Yeah, everything has got to be rage bait. Otherwise, it's just not going to perform well. You know, I should just be raging out right now about the bloody eye pokes and the robberies, but come on, man. Last night was damn good. Damn good. And what is it? What is it? Has the matchmaking gotten better? Is it the fact that all of the strikers and the kickboxers and the Muay Thai fighters are finally learning how to work on their takedown defense, their counter grappling, so we're getting more fun, scrambly fights that are actually fluid and active rather than just smush fests. There we go. Got it in the end. All right, we'll edit that out. That's okay. Or is it the fact that the UFC has been doing massive purges? Massive purges. And we have slowly but surely reached that point where we are no longer accepting the horrible garbage fighters that were available to us during the big lie of 2020 throughout 2022. Like, there was a part there where it was just too hard to get fighters from certain regions of the world, so were we just accepting anyone that was available to fight? And now, in 2025, the roster has actually cleared out all the trash, and we have enough talent where even, like, the bad fighters, like, say, Cody Brundage, who are bad fighters, are actually kind of alright. You know, in the bigger picture, they're alright. They're not as bad as the fighters were between 2020 and 2022. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, you let me know down there in the comments. Why do you think everything has gotten so good lately? Maybe it's a mix of everything. A mix of good matchmaking, good talent. The fight is just generally getting better. I don't know. But last night we had 9 real fights on the card. Now, obviously, with 9 fights on the card and there being a little bit of an intermission between the first fight and the second fight, WMMA. You know, the pacing at the start was a little bit slow, but the card ended up being quite fun over the entire thing. So I'm not going to go through every single one of the fights, just some of my core takeaways. Now, the first core takeaway is going to come to Charles Johnson. And there's 2 things about this Charles Johnson fight. So let's call this number 1 point, Charles Johnson, point number A, and then we'll get into point number B. Now the first thing is Charles Johnson. Your corner either sucks or they fucking hate you. I don't remember specifically which rounds it was. Maybe it was the first round, maybe it was the second round, doesn't matter. But rounds were going against you as we were getting into the third round. It was very clear the fight was a 50-50 up in the air fight going into the third round. And you, Charles Johnson, you needed to push. You needed to push harder. I don't know why your coaches told you ahead of the third round that you were winning the fight, okay? Because we ended up in the last 2 minutes of the fight, and for some reason, because your coaches told you were up going into the third, no one was going hard. You weren't going very hard. You could have gone harder. And I understand, like, sitting here in this chair, just watching the fights, I need to appreciate that it's probably very hard in the first person, you know, while you're gassing out, while you're getting hit in the face, while your body's aching and you're trying to figure out where to strike, exactly how the scoring is going. But that is why you pay a third party, your coaches, to watch from the sidelines and to tell you what is going on. Yeah, and they sort of screwed it up for you, Charles Johnson. However, point number B, and this isn't just to you, right? This is to all the fighters. And I know it would be annoying as an MMA fighter. I'm Monday morning quarterbacking here, right? I am not a fighter. I know, but come on, man. It's the 13th minute of a 15-minute fight. It is so close. There are 2 minutes left. You have got your opponent rocked and wobbled and running away from you. And you think, I know what I'll do. I'll go for a single leg and I'll push him up against the cage. And I'll start landing hammer fists to the top of the thigh at the very end of the fight. In a sport that is based on damage and impact, let's do probably the least amount of damaging thing that can be done in the sport. Not even a full blast takedown. Not a changing of position. Just grind them against the cage and see if we can rub up on them for a little bit. Why do that at the end of the fight? Fighters, coaches, MMA stuff. I don't know who needs to hear this. But if someone is rubbing another opponent up against the end of the cage, going for a grindy Mario Batista finish, like what kind of a fucking oxymoron is that? Have you just given up? What is going on? The coaches need to start screaming at their fighter to create space and to go for it. Fighter, do you want fans? Do you want your win money? Do you want the bonus? Do you want to be considered to enter the rankings, the top 5? Do not phone in the last 2 minutes of the fight. It's fucking infuriating. It is infuriating. And I feel bad for Charles because his coaches sort of led him astray on that one, man. Jeez, dude. The next one that I wanted to touch on, the really big one that I wanted to touch on, was Nasrat Hakparast versus Esteban Ribovic. This is going to be controversial. If the last topic was, the Charles Johnson topic wasn't, this one will be. Look, did Nasrat Hakparast get a robbery decision win over Jared Gordon? Yes, he did. Was Esteban's win a robbery decision win? No, it wasn't. Look, my brothers in Christ, I implore you, go and watch the second round again. Please, watch it again. Watch the second round of last night's fight again. And while you watch the second round, just think to yourself, geez, Esteban, a body shot would be nice here, wouldn't it? You know? Yeah, did Esteban throw like 400 strikes? Yes, he did. But they were 400 strikes to the forearms of Nasrat. There was nothing to the body. It was all to the forearms. And then, while you're watching the second round, thinking, oh, geez, a body shot would be good here, I would also implore you to, once again, read the scoring criteria of the sport, man. The scoring criteria says, word for word, legal blows that have an immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute towards the end of the match, with the immediate weighing in more heavily than the cumulative. So when you watch the second round, it's close, but it's very clear that Nasrat landed the more immediate, bigger shots. Very, very clear. Very clear. Nasrat round 1, easy. Nasrat round 2, close, but clear when we read the rules of the sport that we are watching. Are the rules good? Is round by round judging the best way to do this? They're all fair questions and conversations, yeah? But this is what we have. This is what we're working with, yeah? And then round 3, Esteban just beat the fuck out of Nasrat. It was so good, man. It's so good. So good on him, man. Like, Esteban, you lost the fight, but fight of the year last year, crazy performance last night. Like, you lost the fight, but you won the fans. And in the UFC, that is the most important thing, brother. Don't worry about the wins and losses. You won the fans. You're welcome to the tier list club, you know? You're the kind of fighter we're going to banter about with the boys right now, you know? While fucking skinny Kelvin Gastelum, you're in for the fans hating you until you sleep someone in there. So Esteban won. At the end of in the UFC's eyes, when it comes to being a fan favorite, Esteban won, okay? Everyone's going to be looking at skinny Kelvin Gastelum going, you son of a bitch. Always getting robberies. Rah, we hate you. Rah. That last part was sarcasm. A lot of people don't get Australian sarcasm, judging by the comments that I get sometimes. Moving on to the main event, Manel Kape. Manel Kape, just book it. Book Manel Kape versus Alexandre Pantoja. Book it. Book it. Fuck Kai Kara-France. I don't care. I know it's not right. I know. You don't sleep Usyk and not get a title shot. I know. But it's a sport, and I'm a fan, and I'm cheering as a fan. You know, I'm on board the Kape train. I like him. I like his style. I like his swagger. I like his views on jiu-jitsu. Even when he's being wholesome with his little baby girl in the cage, it's still fun. I like him. It's fun. Kai, kind of cringe. Eat a dick, Kai. I'm not a fan of Kai. I'm a bigger fan of Manel Kape. Now, the eye pokes from Manel Kape. At first, I didn't think it was too bad, you know, and even on the post-fight live, I didn't think it was too bad. But having watched it back, it's pretty bad. It was a bad eye poke, yeah. And the worst part is, I don't even think he needed the eye pokes to win. I think he just needed a little bit more with the striking. He was winning the striking exchanges because Almabayev was worried about what Kape was throwing at him, but there were moments during round 3 where Kape just seemed a little bit frozen. He didn't quite know when to strike, but when he did strike, it was landing. He was winning. Then you have the eye pokes and it sort of tarnishes the great performance, and the eye pokes on the replay are bad. So I could see the UFC giving Kai Kara-France the title shot and making Manel Kape fight again as punishment. But yeah, I think overall, I do think it's time, UFC. There's time for an emergency meeting between you and the commission. You touch an eye, you lose a point. Done. You touch an eye, you lose a point. Simple, done. Fighters will start closing their fists. Now, the flip side of that coin is watch the sport slow down. It will slow down. There will be constant stop, look at the replay, stop, look at the replay. As fighters on the other end will try and call foul, like soccer players, you know, constantly trying to get a point deducted from their opponent. We're going to constantly have fighters wanting it to go to the every time they get judged, they're going to be, oh, that was a poke. That was a, and they're going to have to stop. We're going to have to look at the replay. This is the problem with saying if you touch an eye, there's going to be a point deduction. You know, so maybe, I don't know, do we test it out in LFA or Cage Warriors for 12 months? You know, do we implement it on the prelims only for 6 months to see how it works in the actual UFC? Do we just implement it and say we're going to review it for 12 months and see does it slow down the action? Either way, it is time for a decision to be made on one of those strategies going forward. If I was Dana White, not only would I be on a yacht in the Adriatic just living like a fucking boss, you know, the fact that he rocks up to work every day, good on it. No, if I was Dana White and I was in charge of the UFC, I would put it in place for 12 months and see how the action continues in the cage, and then go and review it like we did with the new gloves that are the old gloves. You know what I'm saying, right? But change needs to be made. Triggers need to be pulled. Decision, action. Yes, that. Final takeaways. Even the heavyweight fight was fun. It goes to show that we need a laser light at the UFC Apex. Like a laser light like this, right? And it's in the shape of a 45-degree angle. And you step in front of that laser light, shoulders out, and if your gut hits the edge of the laser light, like if your body is not a male shape, if you are the shape of a pear instead of a human male, which is a V shape, broad shoulders, thin waist, that is how men are meant to look. If you do not have this shape that fits into the laser light, you are only given you're only given light heavyweight fights. And if you can't make light heavyweight, you're kicked out of the UFC. That is the way to go. There should be no orbs in a combat sport pretending that they are professional athletes bitching on Twitter that they want more money. You shouldn't be orb shaped. You should be human shaped, like a V. Wow. That's how you fix heavyweight, with a simple line, just a line at the apex in front of a white wall. You get tied to Ivasa, he stands in front of it, the line flashes red. Fat detected. Fat detected. And kick him out. Yeah, because that made heavyweight fun. That's what you need. That's the answer to heavyweight. Just a light. A laser light in the shape of a V. That's it. That's enough rambling. So that was all my thoughts from UFC Vegas 103. Great card. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved it. If this is your first time here, g'day. Thank you for watching the entire video. My name is Dougie. I try and make an MMA video every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and I try and go live 3 times a week. I have called my internet provider and relentlessly abused them to send out a technician to fix the internet. They are refusing to do it. The fight goes on. We will either get refunded or have the internet fixed. We will prevail. So saying that, I try and go live 3 times a week. If you're already on board with the channel, please leave a like. That would be great. And if you're a paying member of the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you all for being here. Your names are up on the next slide. You guys have a great week, and I'll see you all in the next video.